If you ever find yourself driving through a stretch of highway you've never seen before, don't trust your GPS, don't trust the road signs, and if every gas station suddenly disappears from the map, keep driving. Because sometimes the most dangerous thing on a road trip isn't getting lost, it's being found. 27-year-old Tyler Grayson still refuses to drive at night. He avoids long highways, he avoids roadside motels, and whenever he sees headlights sitting motionless in the distance, he remembers the road trip that almost became his last. This is Tales of the Dark, and this is the story of the highway that followed us. Tyler Grayson was 27 years old and worked as a freelance photographer in Denver, Colorado. In the summer of 2023, he and his longtime friend Mason Reed decided to take a road trip from Colorado to Oregon. The plan was simple: drive west, visit small towns, take photographs, camp whenever possible, then head home. For the first 2 days, everything went exactly as planned. The roads were quiet, the weather was perfect, and both of them enjoyed the freedom that came with being hundreds of miles away from work and responsibilities. On the third night, they found themselves crossing a remote section of Nevada. The nearest town was over an hour away. Cell service had vanished. The highway stretched endlessly through empty desert. Around 11:30 at night, Mason noticed something strange. A pair of headlights appeared behind them. At first, it didn't seem unusual, but after nearly 40 minutes, the vehicle remained exactly the same distance behind them, never closer, never farther. Tyler checked the mirror again. The headlights floated in the darkness like two glowing eyes. "That guy's been behind us forever," Mason said. Tyler nodded, probably heading the same direction. But even after they turned onto a smaller state highway, the vehicle followed. When they stopped for fuel at a tiny 24-hour station, the headlights slowed in the distance, then stopped. The vehicle never entered the station, it simply waited on the road, watching. Mason noticed it immediately. Why isn't he coming in? Tyler looked toward the dark highway. The headlights remained perfectly still. Neither of them could see the vehicle itself, only the lights. After a few minutes, Tyler climbed back into the truck. The moment they pulled onto the highway, the headlights began moving again, following for another hour. At first, they joked about it. Then the joke stopped. The situation felt wrong. Every time they slowed down, the vehicle slowed too. Every time they sped up, it matched their speed. At one point, Tyler accelerated to nearly 90 miles per hour. The headlights remained exactly the same distance behind them, neither gaining nor falling back. As midnight approached, they reached a tiny roadside motel. The place looked ancient. Half the parking lot lights were broken, the office sign flickered constantly, but they needed sleep. Tyler parked. The headlights stopped several hundred yards away, again just sitting there. Neither man spoke. The silence between them said everything. Inside, the elderly motel owner handed them a key. Before Tyler could ask about the vehicle, the owner interrupted. "You're not the first." Tyler frowned. "The first what?" The old man looked toward the highway. "The first travelers it's followed." A chill ran through Tyler. "What do you mean?" The owner hesitated, then shook his head. "Forget it." Neither Tyler nor Mason slept well. Throughout the night, they kept checking through the curtains. The headlights remained there, motionless, watching. At sunrise, they finally saw the vehicle, or what was left of it. The truck sitting on the roadside was severely damaged. Its front end was crushed, the windshield shattered. The entire vehicle looked like it belonged in a junkyard. Tyler couldn't understand how it had been driving. Even stranger, nobody was inside. The driver's seat was empty. The passenger seat was empty, no movement, nothing. Mason wanted to leave immediately. Tyler agreed. As they packed their gear, the motel owner approached them again. His face looked pale. "Leave now," he said. "We were already planning to." The old man nodded, then said something Tyler would never forget. "If it stays behind you, keep driving." Tyler felt a knot form in his stomach. "What if it catches us?" The old man didn't answer. Instead, he walked away. They left within minutes. The damaged truck remained where it had been. Empty, silent, broken. For several hours, everything seemed normal. Then shortly after noon, Mason looked into the side mirror. His face turned white. It's back. Tyler looked. The same truck, the same destroyed vehicle following them, moving normally despite looking completely wrecked. Neither of them spoke for several seconds. The impossible sight made Tyler question whether he was imagining things, but Mason saw it too. The truck remained there, steadily following. Then things became even worse, because this time someone was sitting behind the wheel, a tall figure, perfectly still, its face hidden behind the cracked windshield. Tyler pressed harder on the accelerator. The truck followed, hour after hour, without stopping, without passing, without falling behind. As evening approached, they finally reached a larger highway with more traffic. Relief washed over them until Mason checked his phone. The GPS route had changed. Neither of them had touched it. Their destination had disappeared. A new route appeared instead, leading toward an isolated road neither had selected. Tyler immediately exited navigation. A few moments later, it reopened by itself. The same road, the same destination, a place neither had ever heard of. And beneath the route was a location name that made Mason's blood run cold. Grayson Residence. Tyler stared at the screen. That was his last name. His home address appeared beneath it. Someone or something was directing them there. And when Tyler looked into the mirror again, the figure inside the damaged truck was no longer sitting still. It was smiling. The end of that story. Tyler's hands tightened around the steering wheel. For several terrifying seconds, neither he nor Mason spoke. The smiling figure remained visible behind the cracked windshield of the damaged truck. Every instinct told Tyler to look away, but he couldn't. The thing behind them looked human, at least from a distance. Yet something about it felt wrong. Its smile never moved, its head never shifted. Its eyes remained fixed on them despite the highway's curves. As if it wasn't a person looking through a windshield, as if it were a photograph taped behind the glass. Tyler slammed the GPS off completely. The screen went black. For a moment, relief washed over him. Then the display lit up again. The route returned. Destination, Grayson Residence. Distance remaining 1,104 miles. Mason swore under his breath. What the hell is happening? I don't know. Tyler pressed the power button repeatedly. Nothing changed. The route remained. The smiling figure remained. The truck remained, following, always following. As darkness approached, traffic became thinner. The highway stretched across miles of empty terrain. Every few minutes, Tyler checked his mirrors. The truck never disappeared, never passed, never changed distance. Eventually, they reached a large truck stop crowded with travelers. For the first time all day, they felt safe. Tyler parked near several 18-wheelers. The damaged truck remained on the far side of the lot, watching, but this time it wasn't alone. A state trooper cruiser sat nearby. Tyler immediately climbed out. Relief flooded through him. Finally, someone could explain this. The officer listened carefully as Tyler described everything: the headlights, the motel, the truck, the GPS. The officer looked skeptical but agreed to investigate. Tyler pointed toward the damaged vehicle. The officer nodded and walked across the parking lot. Both Tyler and Mason watched from a distance. The officer approached the truck, shined his flashlight inside, walked around it, then suddenly stopped. Frozen, several seconds passed. The officer slowly backed away. Then he returned to his cruiser without speaking to the truck's occupant, without issuing a citation, without even touching the vehicle. A moment later, the cruiser drove away. Tyler stared in disbelief. What just happened? Mason looked equally confused. Neither had an answer, and neither would ever get one, because when they finally worked up the courage to approach the damaged truck themselves, it was empty again. No driver, no passenger, no sign anyone had ever been inside, yet the driver's seat was warm. Tyler felt it with his own hand, warm, as if someone had stood up only seconds earlier. That was enough. They left immediately. The road grew darker. The landscape became increasingly isolated, and around midnight they made a decision. They would leave the highway entirely, find a hotel, sleep. Continue in the morning. A small town appeared on the map roughly 20 miles ahead. Population 642, it seemed perfect, but when they arrived something felt wrong. The streets were empty, every business was closed, no lights shined from any windows, no vehicles moved. The entire town looked abandoned. Yet according to the signs, people still lived there. Tyler drove slowly through the main street. Nothing, no movement, no sound, no people. Then Mason pointed toward the town diner. A single figure stood inside, watching through the glass, motionless. Tyler slowed. The figure didn't move, didn't blink, didn't react. Just stared. Another figure appeared beside it, then another, then another. By the time Tyler accelerated away, dozens of people stood behind the diner windows, all watching silently, none moving, none speaking. The truck behind them remained exactly the same distance away, following, watching. The realization hit Tyler like ice water. The truck wasn't chasing them, it was guiding them, leading them somewhere towards something, and every strange thing they encountered seemed connected to it. At 2 in the morning, exhaustion forced them to pull over at a rest area. The parking lot was empty. Tyler turned off the engine. For several minutes they sat in silence. Then Mason whispered, "Do you hear that?" Tyler listened carefully. At first there was nothing, then he heard it, footsteps, slow footsteps, crunching across gravel, outside, circling the truck. Tyler looked through the side mirror. Nothing, the parking lot appeared empty. Yet the footsteps continued, crunch, 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 around and around. Something was walking around them, something they couldn't see. Mason grabbed a flashlight. The moment he switched it on, the footsteps stopped. Silence returned. Then a loud knock struck the rear window. Both men jumped. Tyler spun around. Nobody stood there, nothing, just darkness. Then another knock, this time on the driver's side, followed by another, and another. The sounds began moving around the vehicle, knocking from every direction, faster, closer. Like multiple people surrounding them, Tyler started the engine instantly. The moment the truck moved, the knocking stopped, completely. Neither man spoke for nearly an hour. Fear had exhausted them, but what happened next would haunt Tyler for the rest of his life. Shortly before sunrise, Mason suddenly pointed ahead. The damaged truck sat parked in the middle of the highway, blocking both lanes. Tyler slammed the brakes. The truck was empty again, no driver, no movement, nothing. For several seconds they remained frozen. Then Tyler noticed something lying on the pavement, a photograph. He stepped out carefully. The morning air felt unnaturally cold. The photograph showed 2 people standing beside a pickup truck, Tyler and Mason. Taken during their trip, only it wasn't possible. The picture had been taken yesterday, without their knowledge, without anyone nearby. On the back was a handwritten message, "Almost home." Tyler dropped the photo. A loud engine suddenly roared behind them. The damaged truck, its headlights exploded to life. The engine screamed, and the vehicle accelerated directly toward them. Tyler ran, Mason ran. They dove into their truck seconds before impact. Tyler floored the accelerator. The damaged vehicle chased them for nearly 10 miles. Then, as suddenly as it had appeared, it vanished. Gone, no turnoffs, no exits, no side roads, just gone. The rest of the journey passed without incident. Eventually they reached Oregon, then returned home weeks later. Neither ever saw the truck again, at least not in person. 3 months later, Tyler received an envelope with no return address. Inside was another photograph. It showed his house, taken at night from across the street. On the back was a single sentence, "You made it home." Tyler moved shortly afterward, changed his phone number, changed jobs, changed everything he could. But even now, years later, he occasionally wakes up in the middle of the night, walks to the window, and looks toward the road because sometimes parked far in the distance. He sees 2 headlights, perfectly still, watching, waiting, as if they never stopped following him at all. If you are brave enough to hear more nightmares, subscribe to Tales of the Dark, and if you have your own terrifying experience, leave it in the comments or send your story by email. Maybe your nightmare will become the next story told here.